I've really been looking forward to this particular theme. One of the biggest barriers I've seen in diversity, equity, and inclusion is how nerve-wracking it can be, just how stressful and frustrating and confusing people can feel all the time. You can just feel it tense you up. Just pause, relax, and we're going to let some of that weight on our shoulders just melt away.
We're all about levity today. Last time, we covered our and other people's emotions and how they're natural, useful, and add vibrancy to our world. In regards to equity, we push for greater validation and expression of emotions because they inherently resist a more stagnant status quo, and because it's an effective strategy to shift the balance of power, even if only by a little bit. When in doubt, we validate our emotions and feelings along with the emotions and feelings of others. Now, we take a pivot to a crucial frame of mind. To understand levity, we turn to the book Humor Seriously by Jennifer Acker and Naomi Bagdonas. They made the comparison that levity is to humor, is to comedy, what movement is to exercise, is to sport. Levity and movement are pretty effortless, is going through the motions of the day. Humor and exercise is more intentional, more focused. Comedy and sport are, if not professional, at least competitive. Circling back to levity, it's lightness, it's serenity. It is our ability to not sink too low for too long. Imagine just effortlessly strolling through a park, or even floating down a lazy river. It's like that, only internal. It is exuding weightlessness. We all know the feeling. We've all done it ourselves at some point and seen others do the same. For one example, the start of each of these videos in this series. I aim to be friendly, calm, and if we're being honest, pretty corny a lot of the times. It's adding a sense of levity to the discussion. It's giving us permission to relax just a little bit. It's about not taking ourselves, or at least in this case me, too seriously. Let's talk about the weight for a quick minute. As we've covered, as we will cover, matters of equity are heavy. They should be. And yet we cannot reasonably carry the full weight. The tragedies, the sins, the losses add up to too much in our world today, let alone when we add history to the equation. What is so often at stake when it comes to matters of equity and inclusion is whether some people get a fair shake or not, if their voice is heard or not. That's no small amount of pressure. And there are times we need weight behind our words, need to give a gut punch, a wake-up call to spur on action. Sometimes we need to express that weight to show how serious we're taking the work and how others should listen as well. As with other themes we've covered, it's not about two opposing forces, but instead two complementing ones. Weight is one tool at our disposal. Adding levity is another tool we can use in harmony with it. Weight is best for when we need to be stronger. Levity is best when we need more stamina. If my goal with the series was to drive home a few specific points, I'd be heavier in my tone, my approach. Since we're covering so much though, I bring in more lightness, so we can cover theme after theme after theme. So let's keep it light the rest of this video. Say hello to the funny cat. Funny cats are great. They hold broad appeal. The meme potential of this silly picture is endless. So what about humor? What about taking that next level above levity in our equity work? Well, humor is a double-edged sword. Yes, a dose of humor here and there can go a long way, can really win over hearts and minds, can bring solidarity to our work. Humor is also one of the fastest ways to lose people, to offend others, to lose credibility. Humor is optional, and would normally be where I'd say someone can go advanced, like I've done for other videos in the series, but I feel it sets us up more for success when we more directly address that humor is not something any of us should be compelled to use. It really is optional. If we do want to go for a few chuckles, our goal is not to win any prizes for being a comedy genius. Remember, comedy is yet another step up that we don't even need to touch unless we're planning for a career change. Our goal with humor is still levity. Our goal is to lighten the mood in a way that lets us be more productive, to help us approach tough conversations with a more relaxed and open mind. Be a bit corny, use a pun that causes a few harmless groans, and please, please, please be mindful of who the butt of the joke is, if anyone. If your humor goes awry, people might start to look at you like this funny cat is. There are several benefits to levity, of exuding a confident calm. As mentioned, it helps with stamina, with endurance. Consider it this way. Our earlier theme on self-care was about recharging our batteries. Levity is about being more efficient with our energy use. Lets us get more done before we need that recharge to prevent burnout. For two, it makes us more approachable, makes the work more approachable. We have to get people to show up. We have to get them in the door. If we show levity, then others can see that, hey, this work we're doing must be all right. Levity helps us normalize equity work, of speaking about topics like privilege, power, historical wrongs. When we, through our tone, our mannerisms, our approach, tackle matters of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice like it's a normal thing, it cues others that it can be normal for them as well. Levity also gives ourselves and others grace. When we build a project, an effort, a proposal up with too much drama, then every small mistake and trip up feels monumental. This is where all that talk comes from of we have to get this right, it has to go perfect. No, it doesn't. We don't have to be perfect. I've said it before and will say it again. Expectations of perfection sets us up for failure. We do have to do our best. We do have to listen and learn. And through levity, we have the grace to trip up here and there, and that's okay. And finally, levity offers a strong rebuttal to naysayers. To show calm and poise and not be overly affected when someone tries to distract with some unrelated argument or starts making wrong assumptions and accuses us of being problematic, it is a real tactic to just not give them the satisfaction. People trying to poke holes in our efforts want us to get flustered or stammer, or to show weakness in order to validate their argument. We aren't obligated to provide that for them. Let's put this into practice with a few examples. Let's start with our naysayer again. This time, let's specify they're a resident and at a public meeting during open comments, and they say all this DEI stuff is a bunch of crap, a waste of money, and it's racist against men and sexist against white people. How can we apply levity? For me, it's thanking them for their time and just moving forward. Is it really worth the effort to point out they got racism and sexism mixed up? Do we give that person's complaints more attention because we try to argue back? Do we feed into their narrative by being something other than pleasant, calm, and respectful? Let's think big picture. A local, national, or international tragedy like violence and armed conflict. Obviously, such things have weight to them. We should express it. And it helps when leaders step up and show confidence, can find beauty in how people can come together in such times, can make promises of better days. Add a little light, add a little hope, add some touch of levity in the moment to not give in to despair. For a more day-to-day example, what if we're starting a meeting to kick off some sort of big change to our services? Tensions are up. People aren't keen to change things when they've grown used to the current system and process. Will this change even improve anything? Try an icebreaker. Make a crack about how much we know everyone loves changes, or even just bring up the weather or how the local sports team did over the weekend. It lets us all take a much-needed breath before we start. For our optional exercise, laugh. We each can find something that makes us laugh, a movie, a show, or a comic strip, even call up our funniest friend for a chat. Laugh and let the laughter sink into our shoulders. We can carry the lightness of the moment forward with us. Next up, We conclude the self section with storytelling.